All right, what's up? Tim Sykes here. I wanted to do a pre-market webinar just going over the plays that have really, crushed it for me. And wait till you see where I'm trading from. I'm in a pretty unique spot. Otherwise, I would show you real time. But when you see where I'm trading from, you'll start to realize that you can do this from anywhere. It's pre-market for you guys. It's at the end of a long day for me. And I'm just so blessed to be able to profit from literally wherever I am. Roughly $2,500 in profits on ALBT. Pretty amazing. Pre-market, mind you, okay? Leave a comment underneath this video if you understand and say pre-market runners are hot. Let's see how many of you can follow that simple instruction. It's actually surprising how some people just can't follow simple instructions, but pre-market runners are hot. It helps based on your time zone. Congrats, all my European students, not necessarily 4, 5, 6, 7 a.m. Eastern for you. Sometimes it's like 10, 11 a.m., 12 p.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m. It's pretty cool. All I know is that you got to wake up early. Some of my top students, Jack Kellogg, he's up 300 grand the past few weeks. He's been waking up at 2, 3 a.m. Eastern. The Shunk brothers, I think Chris is even over like $1 million this year. He's closing in on 2 million total. They're getting up early. 4, 5, 6, 7 a.m. You got to do it. 7 a.m. you can see the big volume spike on ALBT. Why? What happened at 7 a.m.? There was no news at 7 a.m. This is when the retail brokers like E-Trade open up and more people can trade. But you can trade at 4, 5, 6, 7 a.m. if you have better brokers than E-Trade, like Interactive Brokers. 4 a.m. Eastern is when these things wake up. It's when these stocks wake up. It's when you can trade. I'm sorry, you could probably tell that I'm fading right now. I'm a little delirious, but pretty amazing that ALBT spiked so quickly. And this is what I want you to understand. If you do wake up at 4, 5, 6, 7 a.m. Eastern, if you're prepared early, then guess what? You can look here. This is my stocks to trade top percent gainers. Everyone's like, what's your magic sauce? How do you find all these stocks? All I look for is big percent gainers. And big percent gainers is the key. And I was looking at this early around 4 a.m. Eastern. It was a similar list, but ALBT was up there. And I'm not just interested in big percent gainers. I'm interested in plays that can spike very fast. Okay. ALBT between 420 and 4:22 a.m. spiked from $2.60 up to $4. Okay? This is a 60% gain in 2 minutes and not even that much volume. This is like 100,000 share volume. This is a low float stock. So all it takes is 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, sometimes like 1 million or two. Now, as I'm filming this at 9 a.m. Eastern, it's traded 20 million shares pre-market. But all it took was a few 100,000 shares and the stock spiked 60%. So these low float runners are just amazing. And it's pretty cool to see how far they can go and how fast they can go. But you also don't want to chase them. It's a little scary sometimes. So it got all the way up to 4 and then came down here to the 270s. And, I like to, look for these support zones. If you ever miss these spikes, I think it's actually better to try to be there for the spikes. But if you ever miss it, the support zones are key. And you don't know where the support zone is necessarily going to be ahead of time. I don't want you to say it must hold this support. It can do anything. But this stock showed that it was basing here in the 270s. And so, if you are up at 4 a.m., I don't enjoy giving 4:30 a.m. alerts. I know people aren't up. People are like cranky. They're like, stop texting me right now. But when I see opportunity, I have to alert you. And this was like staff yesterday. And if you saw my trade on staff, now it's faded. But the other day had a big spike right here. This was at 7:30 a.m. Eastern. Okay. And they actually had some news. Stocks to trade breaking news alerted that. But it spiked all the way from 160 to 420 and then came down here to the 3s and then bounced to the 4s. And I nailed that, just this little bounce. But pre-market, STAF, that was all that mattered. There was nothing after, pre-market. It faded all day and it continues to fade. But I saw the same kind of action in ALBT. And this is the beautiful thing. Once you see price action, like solid price action in one of these plays, oftentimes there's similar awesome price action the next day, and you get these sympathy plays. So when I nailed staff for like $1,000 yesterday, nail and bail, taking the single, I saw the same action here. And, it wasn't 7:30 a.m. Eastern, it was 4:30 a.m. But again, I'm open to trading pre-market. Leave that comment underneath this video. Say pre-market runners are hot. I really want you to take advantage of that. And, for me, this thing was just a gimme. It had already touched 4. It spiked so fast in just 2 minutes. It's a low float runner, so it fits the main pattern right now. If you watch my last 50 or even 100 video lessons, you should know this pattern inside and out. Low float runners, especially pre-market, buying near support. And the stock proved that 270s were support. I don't know ahead of time. You have to react. I gave a whole challenge webinar last night where everyone's like, who's going to win the election? What's the stock going to be? What's the market going to do? I don't care. I don't play guessing games. I didn't say that ALBT was necessarily going to have support here in the 270s. I respected the market. If it had support at 250s, I would have been just as happy. I probably would have been happier because I would have dip bought it at a lower price. But now there's a clear range. I don't necessarily think it's going back to the 4s, but I do think 270 to 350 would be resistance. And again, how do you pick 350? Because this red candle stopped at 350. And then the market tells me, again, that 350 is resistance. Here it breaks out a little bit to 360, but then comes down again. So if you are receptive to letting the market tell you where support and resistance are, and receptive to seeing which stocks, are the best to buy, that's what you got to do. And this was a beautiful 4:30 a.m. trade for me. And this was my afternoon. But again, I was still just as jet lagged. If you wonder why I'm doing so well with these kinds of nail and bails on staff and now ALBT, it's pretty cool because you don't have to be in front of the computer all day. And, I actually trade better when I'm traveling. So nice little $1,600 profit right there for me. And again, I'm not spending much time. I'm just up at 4 a.m. Eastern. I want to show you my filters. All I'm looking for is stocks 5 cents to $45, giving it a wide range. Normally I don't go up to $45, but I'm watching DJT ahead of the election. Not that I have any bias ahead of time. I'm just watching it. And then the volume, I want 300,000 shares or more because I don't want to trade some illiquid stock. And then 20% or more. I just want to see a stock that has a big percent gain on the day. And it's pretty awesome. So ALBT fit all of these filters the previous day. STAF fit all of these filters. Wake up early. Now, let's go to the right side. This is right around 7 a.m. And I want you, if you can't necessarily get up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. Eastern, I know it's tough. I mean, this is why I'm struggling to even stay awake right now. This is why I've gotten significantly more unhealthy the past few months, just trying to keep up with all these runners at all different times. If you can't wake up too early or if you're not around necessarily, look for 7 a.m. Eastern. This is when a lot of retail brokers open and you see the volume pour in at 7 a.m. And why is this running up at 6:56, 57, 58, 59? Because traders who are smart and prepared know that retail traders are probably going to look to buy something hot at 7 a.m. Eastern when they can. I'm sure there's a lot of people with E-Trade accounts who are watching this play 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Eastern, and for whatever reason, they don't have any other brokers, so they're watching, but they can't trade until 7 a.m. Eastern. So you can anticipate that they're going to potentially buy right around 7 a.m. Eastern. And that's what happened at 7 a.m., 350 all the way up to 430. Nice big spike right when the retail crowd opens. And if you're prepared a few minutes ahead of time, heading into this resistance, remember, this was 350 was basically resistance. So it's heading into resistance right at 7 a.m. Eastern. You got to start looking at key levels like this. And 7 a.m. Eastern is a key level. It's not just stock levels anymore. It's resistance zones and support zones time-wise. Okay? So retail traders are going to buy anything that's hot, usually at around 7 a.m. Eastern. And that's what caused this whole run-up. I wasn't around at 7 a.m. Eastern, so I missed this. But, this was a nice spike, basically from 3 up to 5. And this is from, 6:56 a.m. Eastern to 7:08 a.m. Eastern. So in case you wanted to know how quick this is 12 minutes. the stock goes up $2 a share in 12 minutes. Here it went up $2 a share in 2 minutes, or $1.50 a share in 2 minutes. So, if you're looking for some fast trades, pre-market is the way to be. Obviously, in the past, I've said don't trade pre-market. It's very risky. It is still risky, but at the same time, again, this is where the money is. And if you miss this, you start looking for support. As I said in the challenge webinar last night, I said don't try to predict ahead of time. Look for reactions, okay? And the reaction here is it goes up to 5 and it comes down. Where does it come down to? Right here, its support was like 406. And I actually saw it here in the 7:20 a.m. Eastern time zone. And that's when I dip bought. And so I made roughly another $1,000 because even though I missed that nice 7 a.m. spike, I know that now it looks like $4 a share is support. $4 a share was resistance here. $4 a share has acted as support. Right now it's fading as I'm doing this. But again, it's 9:11 a.m. Eastern. I'm not even really interested. I'll watch it and see what it does at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. But for me, I want to see breakouts and I want to see support hold. So you never know if support is going to hold. I didn't know that 270 was necessarily going to hold. I just had an idea given recent pre-market spikers. And I didn't know that $4 a share was going to hold definitively. I just thought that, based on how hot this market is and what's been working, $4 a share would hold. And that's why, you wonder when I'm going to buy. I'm buying near support and it's holding, right? And then I flipped it at 446 just because I had to walk into a meeting. Like some people say, oh, Tim, I'm too busy to trade. None of you are as busy as I am. I'm sorry to say, or I'm not even sorry to say, I'm proud to say. But I know where the support and resistance are, and I know the key times. And also, this is a stock that has fit my patterns pretty well from the initial morning spike to right here too. And it worked pretty well. I bought at support here, as the market told me. I bought at support here, as the market told me. It actually got all the way up to 540. So even though I made, a nice nearly $1,000, I left another $1 a share on the table. The first one I timed really well, but this could have been a $3,000 plus profit. So don't think like, oh my God, Sykes is so good, he's nailing them. I'm not that good. The 7.8 million that I've made, very nice. But several of my students have now made more. And if you stick around, you can make more too. I know it sounds crazy, but you really can. Any single one of you can do better than me. And that's the cool thing here, where I'm not best case scenario. I'm just an average guy. I'm traveling the world. I'm not that good at math. I'm not that smart. You just got to be realistic with what you're capable of and what's possible and what's not. Any single one of you can do this. And I said this in the chat. I said this in my comments. This is a little cocky, but I said, so easy to take singles. It probably spikes more, but I have to step into a meeting. So I'm locking this in. We'll be back likely later today. Congrats to anyone awake with a pair of eyes who has studied my patterns lately. I should have gone bigger. And this is 100% true. And this is with me selling, mind you, okay? And this is me knowing that it probably has more upside. And, I didn't know that it would have $1 a share of upside within a few minutes. Otherwise, I would have given it a few more minutes. But I like taking singles. I like locking it in. And you have to understand that the way I teach is like the cowardly way, okay? I teach just, take these small singles, learn the process. I am by no means the best trader. I am by no means very aggressive. So when you look at my trades, don't think, oh, best case scenario. Maybe Jack Kellogg, Tim Grittani, best case scenario, because they're so much more aggressive, and that's why they've made, basically double what I've made in like half the time. But there really is a lot of opportunity, and these are short squeeze stocks. These are low float stocks. The previous day, I had a nice roughly $1,000 winner on STAF. Again, stocks to trade breaking news. All I'm using are the big percent gainers on stocks to trade and stocks to trade breaking news. I know we have Iris, we have Oracle, we have XGPT. I use XGPT in the afternoon. XGPT sends a daily email at 3:15 p.m. Eastern looking for, plays that can spike into the close and the next day. But I don't even really personally use Oracle and Iris. I love the fact that so many people do. I'm proud that, stocks to trade helps them. But I think that you should try different tools and then see what really suits you. We're all basically scientists looking for a formula that works. There's no one exact right formula for everybody. And, I'm just proud to offer a bunch of different, tools and a bunch of different ideas and patterns, and you pick and choose what you like. I'm really curious. Are you guys nailing these pre-market runners? I see BNOX is also a big pre-market runner. This was at 4 a.m. Again, another 4 a.m. spiker. And this one has gone from 25 cents now to 50 cents. So really choppy. I haven't really been doing well in the 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 cent a stock, 60 cent a share stocks. Holy crap, I'm tired. Don't think that I'm like on top of my game either, because I'm like half awake. But again, this is where I trade pretty well, where I'm not necessarily all there mentally because I'm tired and jet lagged and the Wi-Fi isn't great. But because I'm not looking to trade, I then oftentimes choose the best trades because I'm like, I don't want to trade. I feel like crap. Oh, but this one fits my pattern, so I got to trade it. So it's kind of like this forced trade where I come out of retirement and then I do better. And it's pretty amazing to see what's possible when you focus on these best setups that pop up. The market giveth opportunity. And it's just a question of who's ready. Pre-market, I'm watching some other plays, BNOX, ALBT, AGFY, ZVSA. There's a bunch of plays, and they've all traded, over 1 million shares. But as you can hear, I'm pretty freaking tired. Maybe I'll take like a little nap and look and see what is good later. All I know is that pre-market stocks are hot. And it's funny that, some people are late to the game and they wake up at like 8 a.m., 9 a.m. Eastern, and you see that I've already made 1,000 or two. And then they're focusing on these plays and all they do is fade. And they're like, I don't get it, Tim. When you trade them, they're hot. When I trade them, all they do is fade. Well, wake up earlier, okay? Or, move to Europe. I don't choose these 4, 5, 6, 7 a.m. spikers. I really don't. And when the market goes, 24/7, it's going to get even crazier. As I'm doing this, Jack Kellogg just texted me $26,000 so far today. He texted me around this time yesterday. He made about 40,000. So I'm up like 2,500. He's up like 26,000. It's pretty cool. He's like 10 times what I'm doing. And I love it, and he's trading pre-market. I'm trading pre-market. Those of you in the challenge chat know that he turns his buying power to $1 at around noon every day. And it's pretty cool to see that all of this stuff is happening pre-market or near the open. So, right now, that's what's happening. If you watch this video lesson in like 2026, 2027, pre-market could be dead. And then people will be like, oh my God, why were you trading pre-market? Every market is slightly different. And again, if you watch my old DVDs, video lessons, webinars, I would say, don't trade pre-market. I also said, don't dip buy morning panics. I also said, don't trade midday. Morning panics have been a little weak lately, but midday spikers have been a thing too. So I really encourage you to just try to focus on big percent gainers, stocks with, news catalysts that can catapult them even higher. And if you miss the initial breakout, keep watching them. Look to see where they might find support. I wasn't looking to make a 4:30 a.m. trade, but I saw the support forming here. Same thing here. I wasn't looking to make another trade just before meeting. But when the market gives you the opportunities, even if you just trade with 100 shares, even if you want a paper trade, that's the beautiful thing. Seeing is believing. Many people think that like I'm scamming or I'm full of crap. Like I'm just giving example after example after example after example after example. And this is what I've been doing for a quarter of a century. So I'm going to take a little nap now. Leave a comment below. Let me know if you love these pre-market runners too. I hope you do. Cheers.